If there ever was a car that embodied the romance of the British two-seater, the Austin 3000 would be it.
It's a 67 Austin-Healey Mark III, which is the very last and the most desirable. It's got the wooden dash, roll-up windows, so it's sort of more modern, and that's why it's popular.
The Healy is another example of a British sports car that died a premature death. Even a feisty engine that could reach a top speed of more than 90 miles per hour could not prevent its demise.
Well, Austin started off with little four-cylinder cars, and then they got into the sports cars and trying to compete with everybody else. Finished up with the Healy, and then they got into trouble, really. I think they just wanted their cup of tea all the time, and they didn't keep up with the times. They weren't that organised, and I guess the market research just didn't. It was too costly to build them. It was too time-consuming. The British just couldn't compete. They just tried competing with the American market, doing these, well, muscle cars they had here, and they was trying to compete with the muscle cars, and it just didn't work for them. And they weren't that organised anyway.
They, of course, did get a few things right, including the interior. I call it a two-seater because even though there is a back seat, unless you're traveling with a couple of small dogs, the rear seats are pretty much useless. But then again, if you want comfort, you'll buy a Cadillac.
The Healy's a bit of a handful, a bit of a tank, really. They're great if you're driving around the country roads, but in the city they're a real handful. They've got to be out on the open roads, and then they're okay.
When the top's down and you're cruising down the street, it's easy to forget, or ignore, some of the frustrations of the Healy. Like most British cars of this vintage, electric wiring is not your friend.
It's known, the Lucas wiring on British cars is bad. So that's why we got warm beer, because of Lucas refrigeration, they say. So.
And even though it's built for speed, be careful going down those ramps. The exhaust is very low.
They were designed badly, I guess, because it was so low. If you go over a sort of a bigger bump than usual, then you drag the exhaust off, and so yeah, they weren't too good in that respect.
The 1967 Austin-Healey Sprite was known as the Mark IV. It was the first year for this model, making it a very desirable vehicle. In fact, it's heavy in demand in the Far East, and for collectors, the price keeps going up.
They go for about 40,000 now. There's not too many left. A lot of Europeans buy them now. I think even Japanese, they're very popular over there. And it's the usual thing, supply and demand, the good ones get really good money, and I think they're just going to escalate in price.